An island of polished marble and empty villas sits silently in the Aegean Sea. This is Delos, the ancient world's ultimate luxury market, where Rome's most beautiful and valuable slaves were perfected for wealthy buyers. Thousands of people were brought to this glittering island, only to vanish completely from history. By the end of this story, you will understand the tragic fate of a population that disappeared without a single clear answer. We will explore how a place of such immense wealth and human traffic could become a ghost town in just a few decades. What does it mean for an entire society to simply evaporate, leaving only stones behind? The sheer scale of the operation on Delos is almost impossible to overstate. This was not a simple marketplace. It was the central nervous system of the Roman luxury trade, a machine built for one purpose: to process human beings with ruthless efficiency. Ancient historians like Strabo recorded a staggering fact that the island could see 10,000 people sold in a single day. The entire economy of this small, rocky island was built around this constant, churning flow of human cargo. Think of the docks, not with tourist ships, but with specialized slave vessels arriving daily. Imagine the warehouses, not holding grain or pottery, but filled with people being prepared for sale. The wealth generated was astronomical, flowing into the coffers of merchants and into the marble villas that dotted the hillsides, making Delos one of the richest places in the entire Mediterranean. But this market had a very specific specialty. It was not dealing in laborers for farms or mines. Delos was the boutique showroom for Rome's elite, the place you went to find the perfect domestic servant, the most learned tutor for your children, the most skilled musician for your parties, or the most captivating companion for your home. The slaves sold here were the empire's most beautiful, talented, and educated. They were sourced from the farthest reaches of Roman conquest, from the sophisticated cities of Greece to the mysterious lands of the East. On Delos, they were groomed, taught Latin, trained in specific arts, and polished to a high sheen, all to maximize their value for a wealthy patron in Rome or another major city. The island itself was the ultimate branding exercise, a guarantee of quality and exclusivity. The grand ruins we see today, the sprawling agoras and the foundations of vast mansions, were all funded by this brutal, booming trade in human perfection. This was the glittering, dark heart of a system that treated people as the ultimate luxury commodity. The polished marble floors they walked were cold to the touch, a constant reminder of their precarious existence. For the most valuable slaves on Delos, daily life was a paradox of immense luxury and profound powerlessness. They inhabited a gilded cage, surrounded by stunning villas and manicured gardens, yet they remained the property of others, their lives dictated by the whims of the market. Their days were not spent in hard labor, but in rigorous training designed to inflate their price. Specialized facilities, which archaeologists identify as ergastula, functioned as elite finishing schools. Here, young men and women from conquered cultures were drilled in the intricacies of Latin, the latest Roman etiquette, and the sophisticated arts of music, poetry, and dance. A slave from Gaul might be taught to play the lyre, while a Greek captive learned to recite Homer with a perfect Roman accent. Their value was measured in their polish, their ability to embody the ultimate status symbol for a senator or a wealthy merchant. This entire society was a pyramid, with the enslaved at its bottom, supporting the lavish lifestyles of those above. The island was populated by a transient elite of slave traders, specialized trainers, and wealthy agents acting on behalf of clients in Rome. They lived in the grand villas, their walls adorned with intricate mosaics depicting the very myths their human property were learning to perform. The social structure was stark and unforgiving. A slave could be dressed in fine linens and fed exquisite meals, yet a single misstep, a single note sung out of tune, could mean a sudden, brutal demotion or a sale to a far less desirable fate. The threat was always present, a shadow behind the glittering facade. Archaeological digs have uncovered the foundations of these training grounds, often located directly adjacent to the opulent living quarters of their owners. The architecture itself speaks to a system of total control, a society built from the ground up for a single purpose: to commodify human talent and beauty until nothing of the original person remained. Yet this entire glittering machine, this economy of human perfection, suddenly ground to a halt. Within the span of a single generation, Delos transformed from a bustling hub into a ghost town. The marble villas stood empty, the training halls fell silent, and the slaves, the very heart of the island's purpose, vanished. This is the Great Abandonment, a historical mystery etched into the very stones of the ruins. Archaeological evidence is stark, showing that by the end of the 1st century before the Common Era, the island was largely deserted. The question is, what happened to everyone? The most direct explanation points to the wrath of a foreign king. In 88 and again in 69 before the Common Era, the forces of King Mithridates VI of Pontus, a fierce enemy of Rome, launched devastating attacks on Delos. These were not random raids. Historical accounts suggest they specifically targeted the slave population, either killing them or carrying them off. For Mithridates, this was a strategic blow against the Roman economy, a way to strike at the heart of their luxury trade. You can almost picture the chaos, the end of that carefully controlled world in a sudden, violent eruption. But war does not fully explain the silence that followed. The island never recovered. This leads to a second, more gradual theory, an economic death by 1,000 cuts. As Rome's own republic descended into a series of civil wars, trade routes became insecure, and fortunes were spent on legions, not luxury slaves. Furthermore, the Romans began developing the port of Puteoli in Italy as a new commercial hub, a more convenient location that slowly rendered Delos obsolete. So, did the slaves die in the attacks, or were they simply sold off and relocated as the market collapsed? The frustrating, haunting truth is that we have no evidence of a mass grave on the island, no single catastrophic event that explains the complete and total disappearance of this entire population. They were there, and then they were simply gone, absorbed back into the anonymous currents of the ancient world, leaving us to wonder about the final fate of the thousands who passed through its marble halls. Walking through the ruins of Delos today is an eerie experience. You see a city frozen in time, with grand theaters that could seat thousands, sprawling marketplaces where deals were struck, and the foundations of lavish houses whose mosaic floors still depict vibrant scenes from mythology. It is a ghost city of polished stone, a monument to wealth and commerce that feels utterly abandoned. Yet for all these structures tell us about the lives of the rich, they are silent on the fate of the very people who made that luxury possible, the slaves. Modern archaeology has meticulously uncovered the stage, but the main actors have left no trace. There are no mass graves, no hidden caches of personal belongings, not even a single skeleton that can be definitively linked to the enslaved population that once numbered in the tens of thousands. This profound silence is itself a kind of evidence. It suggests a final chapter that was either meticulously managed or catastrophically clean. Perhaps when the market collapsed, the slaves were systematically sold off and dispersed across the empire, their identities dissolving into the vast anonymous underclass of Rome. Or, if they were killed in the attacks by King Mithridates, their bodies may have been disposed of at sea or in unmarked communal pits that have simply never been found. The only direct testimony comes from cold, impersonal stone. Inscriptions have been recovered, official records chiseled into slabs, that detail the sales of individuals. One might list a skilled harp player for 2,000 denarii, another a scribe for 1,500. These prices are recorded with clinical precision, but the people behind them, their hopes or their fears, are entirely absent. They are entries in a ledger, their humanity erased by the same system that polished them for sale. This haunting emptiness is the island's lasting legacy. The stones speak of incredible wealth, but they keep the final, tragic secret of the beautiful people who vanished from their care. So the story of Delos is ultimately a story of ghosts. It is the tale of a gilded cage that became a tombstone, a place where human lives were polished to a high shine only to be wiped from the pages of history without a trace. We are left with a haunting duality, the stunning beauty of marble ruins standing in silent judgment over a system of profound cruelty. The true cost of this luxury trade was paid in human stories, each one of those 10,000 souls a universe of lost potential, of silenced music and unspoken poetry. Their complete disappearance is a profound silence in our historical record, a void that speaks louder than any inscription. We are left to wonder, were they victims of a king's wrath, casualties of an economy that shifted beneath their feet, or did they simply dissolve into the anonymous masses of the Roman Empire, their individual identities erased forever? What do you think happened to the people who vanished from this island? Share your theories in the comments below. And if you are drawn to these echoes from silent shores, subscribe for more journeys into the world's greatest historical mysteries.